What kind of grown man has to lie just to find out what's really going on in his own store? Zeke Farnell stared at the worn-out uniform shirt in his hands. The name tag read Troy. It had a coffee stain near the collar and a small tear under the sleeve, but it'd do. He tugged it on, tucked it in, and stepped into the mirror. The man looking back didn't look like a CEO. Baseball cap pulled low, scruff grown out, glasses instead of contacts. His usual clean-cut boardroom look was gone. This was the version of himself who used to mop floors at his dad's store when he was 16. Zeke had inherited the company after his father passed away 3 years ago. 9 locations across the state. Electronics retail. Not flashy but solid. His dad built it on fairness, honesty, and treating people right. But lately, something felt off. Too many customer complaints, a few resignations, and one store that kept underperforming. Store 6 in Westfield. He hadn't met most of the junior sales guys at that location. It had been over a year since he last visited, and the current store manager, Lucas, was a new hire from outside. Zeke wanted to see the truth for himself, without the filter of reports or emails. So, he got himself hired as Troy, a new floor trainee. Nobody knew his face, and with 9 stores and constant turnover, that wasn't surprising. He walked through the automatic doors of Store 6, just before opening. The place looked clean, but the energy felt off. Quiet. Too quiet for a team that shouldn't be this short-staffed. Lucas, the manager, didn't even look up when Zeke entered the back room. "You're the new guy?
Cool.
Grab a lanyard and check in with Mason out front," he said, barely glancing from his phone. Mason turned out to be a tall, sharp-jawed salesman with slicked-back hair and a Bluetooth earpiece he never took off. He barely nodded at Zeke. "Shadow me today. Don't talk unless I tell you to. You don't know enough to help." He didn't wait for Zeke to respond. He just started walking, fast. Zeke followed. For the next hour, Zeke watched Mason push overpriced warranties on confused customers, skip over cheaper options, and roll his eyes when people asked too many questions. He talked smooth, but it was all surface. Then, around 11, an elderly woman in a floral coat wandered in, looking lost. She clutched a piece of paper in her hand and approached the counter slowly. "Hi, sweetie," she said, eyes scanning the shelves. "My grandson emailed me a list. Said I could get his birthday gift here, but I'm not sure what it is." "I don't know." "Play. Station." Mason didn't even look up from his screen. "Ma'am, we're kind of slammed right now. You need to know what you're buying before coming in. We're not a daycare." She blinked, confused. He said it's a game with a red. You're going to have to come back with someone who knows what they're doing." Zeke watched the woman's face fall. Her shoulders slumped. She quietly turned toward the exit. Zeke's jaw tightened. "Hey," he said, stepping forward. "I can help her." Mason shot him a glare. "You're the trainee. Stay in your lane." Zeke didn't care. He jogged toward the door. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said gently. "I think I can help you find what you're looking for." She turned, surprised. "Oh. Thank you, dear. I didn't mean to cause trouble." Zeke smiled. "It's no trouble at all. Let's take a look at that list together." They spent 10 minutes walking the aisles. Her grandson had written down a specific game and a controller. Zeke found the items, explained what each did, and walked her to the register himself. "Thank you, Troy," she said softly, her hand brushing his. "You've been so kind." Mason watched from a distance, arms crossed, eyes cold. After she left, Zeke walked back to him. "You treat all lost customers like that?" he asked, keeping his tone casual. Mason shrugged. Lady didn't know what she wanted. Waste of time. Zeke bit his tongue. He needed to see more before he made any moves. Just one bad moment wasn't enough. But his heart ached at how the woman had looked when she turned away. Like she'd been a burden. The rest of the day didn't get better. Mason skipped helping a young couple because they looked broke. He pawned off questions on Zeke, knowing he didn't have the answers yet. Lucas stayed in the back room most of the day, barely stepping out. But not everyone was checked out. A younger employee named Darius kept the shelves stocked, helped customers patiently, and even skipped his break to help a mom struggling with a stroller. He didn't grandstand. He just did it. Zeke took notes. By 5 o'clock, Zeke had seen enough to feel something twist in his gut. This wasn't just a team having a bad day. There was a real problem here. And tomorrow, he was coming back to dig deeper. The next morning, Zeke arrived earlier than anyone else. He stood in the employee lot with a cup of burnt gas station coffee in one hand and his phone in the other, watching the store lights flicker to life through the front windows. Cold air nipped at his neck. He didn't mind. By the time the others began trickling in, he had already reshelved a crooked end cap display and fixed a loose price tag on a clearance rack. It wasn't about playing the helpful rookie. He needed to feel how deep the rot ran. Darius was the first familiar face to walk in, earbuds dangling around his neck, a quiet nod of acknowledgement as he clocked in at the back terminal. He moved with quiet focus, like someone who knew the place wouldn't run unless he kept it upright. Mason arrived nearly 20 minutes later, carrying a smoothie and tapping out a message on his phone with one hand. When he caught Zeke near the tablet aisle, he gave a lazy wave without looking up. "You're on inventory this morning," he said. "I logged it. Don't mess it up." Zeke looked up from a shelf he was adjusting. "Inventory? No one mentioned that yesterday." Mason tossed his empty cup in a trash bin. "Well, now I mentioned it. You're welcome." Lucas didn't show until nearly 10. When he did, he moved straight to the back office without greeting anyone. His face looked pale, eyes bloodshot. He carried a grocery bag that reeked faintly of fast food. For the next 3 hours, he never left his chair. By mid-afternoon, the store felt heavier. Customers trickled in sporadically, but with so few employees on the floor, the tension mounted quickly. Zeke watched a young man in a hoodie hover near the laptop display, visibly confused. He tried to make eye contact with Mason, but Mason was too busy laughing at something on his phone. Zeke stepped in, walking slowly toward the man. "Looking for something specific?" The customer hesitated.
"Yeah.
"My sister said I should get this model for college, but I don't know what half this stuff means." Zeke leaned in, lowering his voice. "What kind of classes is she taking?" "Graphic design. Digital animation stuff." Zeke nodded, pointing out memory specs and GPU options. He didn't oversell, just explained. The customer's shoulders relaxed. "Thanks. Nobody else even looked at me." "You're good. Let me know if you need anything else." As they wrapped up, Zeke caught Mason watching from across the aisle. There was no appreciation in his eyes, only irritation. Later, Zeke found himself near the break room when he heard voices. "I'm not helping him anymore," Mason said, low but clear. "Guys try and make me look bad. Thinks he's slick."
Who?
That was Lucas. The new guy.
Troy.
He's got that fake humble thing. Helping grandmas, chatting up broke kids. He's not a closer. Lucas chuckled. "Let him burn out. He'll quit like the last one." Zeke stood frozen behind the corner. Then a loud beep came from the microwave, and footsteps shuffled toward the door. He moved fast, pretending to restock printer paper near the utility shelf. Lucas passed without looking at him. By late afternoon, Darius was the only one still moving with urgency. He handled 3 customer requests in a row while Mason lingered near the checkout, scrolling on his device. Zeke walked up beside him. "You know, Darius skipped lunch again?" he said without preamble. Mason didn't look up. "That's his choice. He's covering half the floor by himself." Mason finally raised his eyes. "You think this job's about hand-holding? You want to be a hero, go work at a shelter." Zeke's voice stayed calm. "You think treating people like garbage makes you a top seller?" Mason stared at him, jaw tightening. "I've been here 11 months. I've got the highest conversion rate in the store. You think anyone's gonna care how nice you are when you're not making numbers? Zeke didn't answer. He turned and walked toward the front. At 6:15, a tall man in his 40s walked in holding a receipt and a box with a torn seal. He looked frustrated. Zeke caught his eye instantly. Return or exchange? Zeke asked. Return. This thing won't connect to my system. I've been here twice already. No one helped. Zeke nodded. Let's take a look. The man followed him to the service counter. As Zeke examined the receipt, Mason appeared beside them. I'll take it from here, he said. Zeke stepped back, watching. What's the issue? Mason asked, voice clipped. I told him already, the man said. It's defective. I just want my money back. Mason glanced at the box. This is opened. Can't do a full refund. The seal was broken when I bought it. Still policy. You can take store credit. The man's voice rose. I didn't break it. I brought it back twice. This is ridiculous. Mason leaned forward. Sir, yelling won't get you anywhere. Zeke stepped in. Let me get the assistant manager. There is no assistant manager, the man snapped. I asked last time. Zeke inhaled slowly. Then I'll get the manager. Lucas was in the back room, as expected. Zeke knocked once, then opened the door. You need to handle something. His tone was flat. Lucas didn't look up from his screen. Send Mason. He already did. It's escalating. Lucas sighed, dragging himself to his feet.
Phoenix.
Back at the counter, the customer was visibly upset. Lucas approached, arms crossed. I'm the store manager. What seems to be the problem? I've been here 3 times. I got the same runaround every time. I don't want credit. I want my money back. Lucas shook his head. Sir, opened items are subject to policy. I don't care about your policy. I care about being treated like a human being. Zeke's jaw clenched. He turned to Lucas. He's right. We sold him a defective product. He's been back multiple times. This is on us. Lucas blinked. Who are you to say that? Zeke stared back at him, eyes steady. I'm the one who's been watching this whole operation from the floor. Lucas gave a short laugh. You're a trainee. Don't overstep. Zeke pulled off his lanyard and placed it on the counter. I'm not a trainee, he said. I'm Zeke Farnell. I own this company. The room went still. Lucas's face drained of color. Mason's mouth parted slightly, eyes darting between Zeke and the customer. Zeke turned to the man. You'll get your full refund. I'll personally make sure it's processed. The man exhaled, stunned. Thank you. Zeke handed him a card. If anything else goes wrong, call me directly. The man nodded and left quietly. Zeke turned back to Lucas and Mason. You two office.
Now.
They followed, wordless. Once inside, Zeke closed the door. His voice was quiet, but it carried weight. You've disrespected customers, neglected your responsibilities, and created a toxic culture. And I've seen it with my own eyes. Lucas raised his hands. Wait, look, it's been a rough couple of weeks. We're short-staffed and I've been save it. You've been hiding in the back room while your team burns out. You're done here. Lucas's mouth opened, then shut. Zeke turned to Mason. You've treated people like they're beneath you. You've profiled customers, ignored anyone who doesn't look like a buyer, and you've bullied new hires. That ends now. Mason's voice cracked. You don't understand. I make real sales. I hit targets. Not anymore. You're fired. Both men sat in stunned silence. Zeke opened the door. Someone from HR will call you tonight. Leave your badges on the desk. He stepped out, closing the door behind him, and walked back onto the floor. Darius stood near the register, watching cautiously. Zeke approached him. How long have you been skipping breaks? Darius looked down. It's just been easier that way. Not anymore. Starting tomorrow, you're the interim floor lead until we get a permanent assistant manager in. You'll get a pay bump, and you'll help me rebuild this team the right way. Darius blinked. For real? Zeke nodded. You've earned it. Darius glanced toward the back office, then back at Zeke. You're really the owner? I am. And I've got a lot of work to do. The next day, Zeke arrived without the disguise.
No cab, no scruff, no alias.
Just a clean blue button-down, slacks, and a clipboard under one arm. He didn't announce himself to customers or make a show of his presence. But the moment he walked through the sliding doors, something shifted. Darius noticed first. He paused mid-step near the Bluetooth speaker display, eyes flicking to the clipboard, then to Zeke's face. Before he could ask anything, Zeke gave him a short nod. Let's talk in a minute, Zeke said. Finish what you're doing. He waited near the stockroom entrance, watching the register. It was manned by a girl who looked barely out of high school. She was juggling a return, a phone ringing off the hook, and 2 customers asking about online orders. Her name tag read Sasha. The girl behind her, sorting receipts, whispered something and pointed toward Zeke. Sasha glanced up, startled, then quickly turned back to the customer. Her voice stayed polite, but her hands moved faster now, nervous. Zeke didn't walk over yet. He waited until she was done with the return and the line had cleared. Then he stepped forward. You've been holding this place together this morning, he said. Sasha blinked.
Ah.
Thank you. You're not supposed to be on register by yourself, are you? She hesitated. I was told someone would come in by noon, but that got canceled. They said we're tight. Zeke made a note on the clipboard. Who canceled it? I think it was Lucas. Yesterday. Said we could manage with whoever was already on. Zeke nodded once, then looked toward the back. You're doing well under pressure. But no one should be left covering this much alone. You'll have help starting tomorrow. She looked stunned. Really? Really? He walked toward the break room, where Darius was waiting just outside the door, arms crossed, trying to look at ease but failing. His shirt was still a bit wrinkled, shoes worn down at the heel, but his eyes were alert. Zeke gestured to the storage aisle. Walk with me. They moved slowly past the box monitors and overstock cables. I looked through the schedule logs, Zeke said. You've been picking up extra shifts for weeks. Darius shrugged. Someone had to. You didn't tell anyone? No one who would have done anything. Zeke stopped. You know Lucas and Mason are gone. I figured. After yesterday. You stepped up without being asked. You treated people right when no one was watching. That's not common. Darius looked uneasy. I wasn't trying to get promoted. I know. That's exactly why I trust you. They continued down the aisle. Starting today, you'll be the acting floor lead. I'll fix the pay scale personally. But I need your help with something else. Name it. I need you to tell me who else on this team is trying to do right. Quietly. The ones who've been overlooked. Darius thought for a moment. Sasha. No question. She's done closing shifts by herself 3 times this week. No complaints. Just shows up and handles it. Who else? Jorge. Warehouse guy. Doesn't say much, but he fixes all the shipping errors nobody catches. Covers when things go missing. And Nadine, she's part-time, but she's better with customers than anyone I've seen. Zeke made notes as they walked. You ever get a real break? Not really. You will today. I'll cover the floor for 20 minutes. Go eat something. Darius looked skeptical. You sure? Zeke gave him a look. I wasn't asking. As Darius peeled off toward the break room, Zeke headed back to the front. The energy in the store was still off balance. The kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from one bad week, but from being ignored too long. Sasha was restocking the register tape, with fingers trembling slightly. Nadine was answering a question from a middle-aged couple near the phone display, speaking with a calm confidence that stuck with him. Zeke waited until the couple left before approaching her. You handle that well, he said. Nadine looked startled. Thanks. I've been here a while. How long? 6 months. Mostly weekends. You ever get asked to train anyone? She laughed once.
No.
I'm usually the one getting pulled off the floor, so Mason could close a deal. Zeke nodded. That won't happen again. He turned toward the warehouse. Time to see what was happening behind the scenes. Inside the back, it was cooler, hum of ceiling fans masking the distant sound of footsteps. Jorge was arranging boxes with methodical precision, a clipboard tucked under his elbow. His posture was stiff, but not rushed. There was focus in everything he did. You Jorge? Zeke asked. The man turned, startled, then nodded. Zeke didn't waste time. Darius says you've kept this place running. That true? Jorge shrugged. I just do my job. I saw the shipping logs. You flagged over 30 inventory inconsistencies this month. That's not just doing your job. I don't want attention, Jorge said quietly. I just don't like it when things go wrong. Zeke kept his tone neutral. You're not in trouble. You're the kind of person I want more of. Starting next week, you'll be listed as senior inventory lead. Darius will loop you in on floor planning. Jorge blinked, surprised, but said nothing. Just gave a short nod and turned back to his work. By mid-afternoon, the store was steadier. Not fixed, Zeke knew better than that, but steadier. He stayed near the customer service counter, watching how the team handled a growing line. Sasha moved faster now, more confident with Darius occasionally stepping in. Nadine helped an older man navigate the tablet display, smiling as she walked him through the features. Then a man with a dark green hoodie walked in, pushing a stroller with a sleeping toddler. He looked around with hesitation, holding a printed receipt in one hand. Zeke stepped forward. Need help? The man gestured to the stroller. I bought a baby monitor here last week. Can't get it to connect. I've been through the manual 3 times. I just want to swap it for a different brand. Zeke took the receipt, scanned it. Still under return window. Let's get you sorted. He walked him to the correct aisle, helped choose a better suited model, and even carried it back to the front. As Zeke rang it through, the man looked at him. You the manager? Something like that. The man looked relieved. Thanks. Last time I came in, the guy at the desk wouldn't even look at me. Said I was wasting time with cheap stuff. I almost didn't come back. Zeke's jaw tightened, but he didn't show it. If anyone ever speaks to you like that again at any of our locations, ask for me directly. The man nodded. Appreciate it. After he left, Darius walked over from the headset aisle. Saw that, he said. He's been in before. Mason brushed him off last week. Zeke looked over the store. We've got work to do, but the right people are still here. Darius exhaled. Feels different today. It should. Zeke glanced at the time. He had a call scheduled with HR in an hour to begin the formal restructuring. But before that, he needed to speak to the team as a whole. Once the store clears out, I'm calling a meeting, he told Darius.
No scripts.
No announcements. Just truth. Think they're ready for that? Zeke considered it. Doesn't matter if they are. They need to hear it. And when the last customer left, that's exactly what he did. The store quieted just after 7. Fluorescents buzzed overhead, casting a pale glow across the now empty aisles. A few receipts fluttered near the register, and the low hum of the fridge in the break room buzzed faintly through the walls. Zeke stood near the sales floor, clipboard in hand. Everyone out front, he called. 15 minutes. Nobody's in trouble. We're just talking. Some employees filed out cautiously, Sasha, Nadine, Jorge from the back. A few others Zeke hadn't met yet joined, eyes flicking between each other. Darius leaned against a display rack, arms folded, watching the room fill. Zeke waited until the last associate trickled in before stepping forward. I know the last couple days have been weird, he said. You've had people quit, schedules yanked around, customers walked out angry. And somewhere in the middle of that, you were expected to smile through it. Nobody responded, but no one looked away either. I'm Zeke Farnell. I own this company. And this week, I worked undercover here. When I saw what you've been dealing with, it doesn't match what this company was built to be. Sasha shifted her weight. Nadine's eyes narrowed slightly. Jorge kept still, his arms tucked loosely behind his back. Let's be clear, this isn't on you, Zeke continued. You've been carrying a store that wasn't being led. That ends now. A man in a red polo, older than the others, raised a hand slightly. What's going to change exactly? Zeke pointed to Darius. First, he's your new floor lead. He didn't ask for it, but he's earned it. He'll help rebuild trust here. Darius glanced around, unsure whether to speak, but Zeke continued. Second, the store's being audited. Not just financially, operationally. Scheduling, training, supply chain, customer feedback. You'll see me and HR here for the next few weeks, working beside you. Someone toward the back leaned, with a badge that read, Eli cleared his throat. Is this just because Lucas and Mason got canned? Or is it bigger than that? Zeke nodded. Good question. It's bigger. Their behavior just made the cracks impossible to ignore. But the cracks were already there. And I'm not leaving them for someone else to fix. Are we getting replacements? Sasha asked, her voice soft. Eventually, yes. But I won't rush bad hires. Until then, we'll redistribute tasks realistically. No more solo register shifts. No skipped breaks. If coverage can't happen without someone burning out, we reschedule. A short pause settled over the group. Then Nadine stepped forward. I've worked retail a long time, she said. I've heard a lot of talk. But usually it's just that. You going to be here next week? Or is this your last day? Zeke's voice didn't waver. I'll be here. Not in a suit. Not in an office. On the floor. She gave a single nod, then stepped back. There were no cheers.
No applause.
Just a strange, quiet energy, a mix of disbelief and cautious hope. That's it, Zeke said. If you have questions, you can ask me directly. If anyone tries to retaliate or shut you down for raising concerns, they're gone.
No warnings.
He stepped away, giving the team space to return to their stations. Most did slowly, murmuring quietly. Darius stayed behind. That went better than I expected, he said. They're not convinced yet, Zeke replied. And that's fair. They're tired, Darius said. Even the ones who hide it. I know. That's why we're not going to fix it with speeches. The next 2 weeks passed in long, steady shifts. Zeke worked alongside the team, rotating roles. He helped Sasha organize the returns desk, sat in on a product training Nadine led, and spent hours in the back with Jorge correcting mislabeled shipments. He never positioned himself above the work, he was just present, engaged, listening. He met with each employee one-on-one. Some opened up quickly. Others took time. But over and over, the same themes emerged: being overlooked, dismissed, expected to do more with less, and never being told why. Zeke didn't make promises he couldn't keep. He gave timelines. When he said he'd get an answer by Friday, it came on Friday. When he said someone would get coverage for a shift, it happened. Trust, he knew, was built in the small things. He also uncovered more than he expected. A quiet cashier named Lena, who rarely spoke during her shifts, turned out to be fluent in Spanish and had helped dozens of customers navigate purchases without ever being asked to translate officially. Zeke immediately added a bonus to her next paycheck and began drafting a bilingual support protocol for all locations. A maintenance issue in the warehouse, leaky insulation above the stockroom, had gone unreported for months because staff assumed no one would act. Zeke had contractors on site within 48 hours. When a new hire, a young man named Rafi, mentioned being nervous because of how Mason had warned him not to speak up or ask too many questions during training, Zeke pulled the full onboarding logs. Rafi hadn't been trained at all. He'd been thrown on the floor his first shift and left to figure things out. Zeke personally walked him through the proper orientation and assigned him a mentor, Nadine. Each corrective action wasn't just about fixing Store 6. It was about building a model he could scale across every location. 3 weeks after the initial visit, Zeke held another meeting, this time after hours, with food brought in and chairs set up near the front registers. He waited until everyone had eaten before standing. "I said this wasn't going to be fixed with speeches. And I meant it. But I also want you to know where we are now." He held up a folder. "Customer satisfaction scores from this store are up 20%. We've had fewer complaints in the last 10 days than we had in the entire month before I got here. That's you. That's your work." Heads turned. A few exchanged glances. "I've approved permanent staffing increases for this location. We'll stagger hiring over the next 6 weeks, so we don't overload the team. Every new hire will be trained the right way. Sasha will oversee onboarding. She's earned it." Sasha's eyes widened. Her hand hovered over her cup, unsure what to do with the praise. Zeke didn't wait for a response. "Jorge will manage warehouse operations full-time. He'll get support staff. No more solo restocks." Jorge gave a short nod and looked down. "Nadine is now the official customer experience lead. She'll train others in how we handle people, not just sales, but dignity." Nadine raised an eyebrow. "Is that a real title?" "It is now," Zeke said. Laughter broke out for the first time. "And Darius," Zeke continued, "will transition into assistant manager. He'll report directly to me for the next 90 days while we search for a permanent store manager who fits this team, not just the numbers." Darius blinked. "I thought this was temporary." "It was. Until you proved it shouldn't be." He paused, scanning the room. "This, right here, is what the company should have always been. Not just respectful, but accountable. Not just efficient, but human." He folded the folder shut and set it down. "If anyone here ever feels unheard again, you don't go through 4 chains of command. You call this number." He handed out cards, one by one, his direct line. No one said anything for a long moment. Then Sasha raised her hand. "Why'd you come here in disguise?" Zeke smiled slightly. "Because I stopped trusting what I was being told. And I had to see it for myself." "You regret it?" "No. I regret what I let happen by staying away too long. But I don't regret facing it." As the team began gathering their things, stacking chairs, clearing empty plates, Zeke helped fold up the tablecloths. Darius lingered nearby, arms crossed. "That night you followed Mason," Darius said. "You looked like you wanted to say something. But you didn't." Zeke nodded. "I wasn't sure if I had the right to yet. You've earned it now." Zeke looked around the store, cleaner, calmer, more alive than it had been when he first walked in, and felt something shift in his chest. "I'm not stepping away again. Not like before." Darius just nodded. Outside, the parking lot was quiet. The last few employees trickled out, some chatting in 2s and 3s. The door clicked shut behind them. Zeke stayed a moment longer, walking the aisles one more time, not to inspect, but just to feel the space. There were still things to fix. He knew that. But for the first time in a long time, the foundation felt solid again. And this time he wasn't building it from a distance.